Right on. Okay. Thanks for having me. I hope everyone's now settled back in from lunch. Welcome to the talk on Prometheus support and Agentic AI in OpenSearch. Just a little introduction. My name is Kyle. I'm a senior software engineer at AWS. I've been with the open source observability org for about 5 years now. I was part of the original team who launched Amazon Managed Grafana, and I work closely with the managed Prometheus teams and OpenTelemetry as well. Now I'm working with the OpenSearch team to bring native Prometheus support and Agentic AI into OpenSearch Dashboards. Quick survey, show of hands, who here uses OpenSearch or knows about OpenSearch? Okay, quite a few. What about OpenSearch Dashboards? A couple, more than I thought. All right, great. So I'll be going through a brief overview of OpenSearch and OpenSearch Dashboards first, but then I'll dive into native Prometheus support and observability agents in OpenSearch Dashboards. I'll also show a demo. Let's make sure I'm good for time, and leave some time at the end for Q&A. So OpenSearch is an open source distributed search and analytics engine and a project of the Linux Foundation. We have a vibrant and fast growing community of over 3,000 contributors, so if you're interested, please check us out. OpenSearch is being used for search, of course, but quite a large number of our users are also ingesting their logs and traces for observability and security analytics, as well as their vector embeddings for machine learning. The four main components of the project: OpenSearch Core, which is the main search and analytics engine; Data Prepper for ingesting data into your search engine, or search index rather; and the Vector engine, which powers AI features like semantic search, retrieval augmented generation, and dashboards for exploring and visualizing your data. So OpenSearch Dashboards is an open source data visualization and exploration platform for observability and analytics. You can query, visualize your logs and traces, create custom dashboards, do monitoring and alerting. There's also security and analytics and anomaly detection features. Well, the majority of our dashboard users use it for OpenSearch data. You can also connect to external data sources like S3 via the Glue data catalog, and we're working towards adding more like Prometheus so we can get all metrics, logs, and traces for observability. Just a quick update on Prometheus support. For those interested, the backend plugin implementation is complete and merged. However, the front-end metrics experience is still in progress, but you can look forward to it in a future release. I did really want to demo the native Prometheus support today, but it's still in the works. If you want to discuss more during the Q&A, please do. We really want to hear your feedback and use cases as we continue to work on that. But I do still have some exciting new things to share with you, and how you can still visualize and explore Prometheus metrics and data sources in OpenSearch Dashboards without the native plugin support. It's new and experimental with some agentic experiences that we're trying to define through agent-led exploration of metrics, logs, and traces. And we want to get the community's feedback, we really do, and opinions and direction on what I'm about to show you here. So the motivation behind the talk, show of hands again. How many of us here would say you have like an intermediate to advanced level of PromQL knowledge? Quite a few, that's what I expected. So out of you, have you ever been tasked with some kind of business question from someone who doesn't know PromQL to build out a dashboard to explain metrics? Yeah, like how many mobile users logged in last month or something like that? Yes, me too, all the time. So high cardinality metrics are great for this, but PromQL is hard for the average user, some of the people here in PromCon, not all. So how can we lower the barrier entry to beginner and non-technical users to explore their observability data? Keep in mind, these beginners might be experts in other query languages like SQL, but PromQL is just yet another query language for them to learn. And even if you're using the graphical query builder, it's kind of hard to know where to start. So some ways to help new users. First one, query generation. So the ability to transform natural language into PromQL, like how many customers are impacted by this bug. And another one is automatic data exploration, where you let an AI agent kind of take the wheel and guide you through an investigation of your data. My colleague, Pavan, did a really nice talk and demo on this yesterday. I recommend you give it a watch. I think the recordings are already up. It goes into way deeper detail of observability agents and is supplemental to this talk. So query generation. I'll start with an example just using the Amazon Q CLI. It's using Anthropic Claude Sonnet 4, I ask it, give me a query for feature adoption rate. And let's see what it spits out. Okay, so it's pretty good, but it doesn't have enough context to give you a direct answer. Well, it gives you some nice options and a starting point, but a beginner would still have a tough time making this query work for their data, right? So just a little refresher on knowledge base and context for those that didn't attend Pavan's talk, because it's going to be important for later slides. So a knowledge base. It's a collection of specialized data for our LLM to reference when providing answers. It's where you can store things like internal documentation and runbooks to help the model avoid hallucinations. So in the PromQL query example, the LLM did pretty good, but we actually kind of lucked out that PromQL has been around since the 2010s, and there's tons of documentation, blogs, Stack Overflow posts of examples of valid PromQL, and that's already in these LLMs training corpus. So the need for a knowledge base is better illustrated if we try it on a newer language, like OpenSearch's piped processing language. So I'm actually going to switch the model to 3.5, just slightly older. I'm going to ask, what is PPL? And has no idea what the hell I'm talking about. It actually has some pretty entertaining guesses that sound plausible. People programming language, a language for the people. So now I'm going to add PPL documentation to a text file and add this to the agent's knowledge base. So just scrolling through it, it's just like a nicely formatted kind of scraping of PPL queries. I'm going to add it using the knowledge add command. And then it indexes this knowledge base. And then I'm going to steer it in the question. I'm going to say, what is PPL? But then I'm going to say user knowledge base. Okay. So it knows enough to say that PPL is an OpenSearch query language for logs and traces. That's great. And it also gives kind of an example query, but still not enough context to actually run a query. So this is where context comes into play. Context is a bit of an overloaded term, I'll admit it, when talking LLMs, but I'm specifically referring to the dynamic user-specified information to help guide the LLM to a more accurate answer. For generating a working PromQL query, we'd want to provide available time series, labels, and label values so that the output is more likely to be a working query for your data. A bit of a contrived example here, but just for sake of time, if we include available time series and labels in line with my earlier PromQL prompt, you'll see it picks it up like pretty easily here. Yeah, so it works pretty well. But in reality, we'd be using something like an MCP server, like Prometheus MCP server, but you get the point. So now we'll talk about automatic data exploration. So you grant an agent limited access to your telemetry data and infrastructure. You steer it with internal documentation and runbooks, and it guides you through an investigation. It basically behaves like an on-call operator would, right? It documents its progress, showing queries and graphs as it's reasoning about its investigation and maybe a hypothesis here and there. This was also shown in yesterday's demo using Prometheus and OpenSearch MCP servers. But having the agent lead you through that type of investigation and leaving a paper trail behind with queries, if you're a beginner, you can go and then cherry pick some of those queries and go investigate them at your own pace, right? And all these features are possible using Agentic AI. If you thought you were going to attend a conference in 2025 and not hear about Gen AI, I'm sorry. But it's under rapid development. GitHub trends this month, 4 of the top 5 repositories are to do with NLP, LLMs, and agents. So we're integrating Agentic AI into OpenSearch Dashboards. I'll start with bring your own agent support, the ability to swap out the agent in the backend in OpenSearch Dashboards. And so why? Why pluggable agents? From customer anecdotes, we know there are very valid use cases for self-hosted agents in on-prem networks. There could be sensitive proprietary data in the knowledge bases, or using external LLMs is simply prohibited by security. There's also third-party hosted agents that you can use for like pay-as-you-go options, And we also want to be able to test new agents, like if they come available, if it's a new agent framework, we want to just be able to plug that new one in. And so exploring some of the options for observability agents in OpenSearch dashboards, we know that we need knowledge and context to be able to generate queries, but for this agentic led investigations, we also need purpose-built observability tools for the agent to be able to discover alerts and metrics and perform root cause analysis on behalf of the user. So during it's like a rapid development phase, we explored multiple options in parallel. One was building a new agent from scratch and repurposing existing ones out there. And I set off on the search for open source options like K-Agent, just to ensure we're getting like the full picture of this pluggability aspect correct. And so this is when I came across Holmes GPT. It's an open source observability agent by the folks at Robusta. It's a new CNCF sandbox project, so really good timing. I think just last month they started onboarding. I think they're still in the onboarding phase though, but it's an AI agent that's purpose-built for observability. I was pretty blown away, to be honest, about the functionality, just like straight out of the box, so I thought I'd share it with you today. It has an extensive observability knowledge base and tool set. It enables the agent to perform like root cause analysis, as you're seeing it's doing right now. It's planning out what it's going to do step by step in documenting its process. It supports MCP servers and all the major LLM providers that I tried. And it can be deployed in your Kubernetes cluster or as a standalone server. So if you have been looking for something like this, I recommend you go check them out. That's like kind of the summary of the findings for its automated root cause. So with more agents came more problems. Now, the more we experimented with different agents, we ended up having to write adapters in our front end, and this didn't scale well. It made the front end code really messy, and we needed a more modular and scalable way to integrate across the various pages, also on the front end, because there are open source plugins as well. And so we have adopted the agent user interaction protocol in our front end and back end. It's a recent project by the team at Copilot Kit. I heard of this project before, but I hadn't quite understood the significance of it until I was actually faced with the problem myself. So AGUI is a standard for connecting agent backends to front-end UI, which is exactly what we were looking to do to be able to have pluggable agents in our dashboards UI. So no matter what the agent is connected to under the hood, like other agents or MCP servers, the interactions with the UI are consistent. So for example, the front end just needs to implement its chat interface once, and if the back end implements AGUI protocol properly, the experience should be consistent across the various agents. And one of the things I was pleasantly surprised with AGUI was the support for front end tool discovery and state sharing. It kind of felt like MCP, but for the front end. For the front end context and state sharing, we learned that if you spoon feed an LLM with context, it can provide pretty good assistance right out of the box. So with AGUI, we get standardized context as required input to the backend agent chat requests. In this example, we have our observability front end. The user is exploring some data, and they've entered a query, and they're asking the agent now, explain my query. So we have this information right there in our UI, so we can include that in the request. Don't need to read all this, but this is what the payload looks like. You have the prompt, and you have some supplemental context in there. It's like you're telling, because this could be a remote agent, so you actually tell it, give it that context. You are embedded in the sidebar on this metrics explorer page. And this is the user's current query. It's using this language over this time range. And so this means the backend server doesn't actually need network access to your data sources to provide meaningful assistance to you. And you could use a remote agent. Yeah, one other awesome thing is like proactive troubleshooting as well. You open up the agent, something's probably already wrong, and so when you open up the agent, you pass that in. It's like something's wrong, the error's already there. I'm gonna ask you, it looks like you're having troubles here, would you like some help? So just like an MCP server tool discovery in AGUI, the front end advertises its available tools as well. So then the agent can perform front end actions like asking for user confirmation, also like executing queries and graphing time series data, which I hope we have enough time to show a demo here. And so the agent can make a tool call with arguments that the front end can execute, like the query parameters. Yeah. So putting this all together, we've released experimental support for AI Chat Assistant in Discover Logs and Traces with bring your own agent support for AGUI compatible agents. And additionally, I've upstreamed experimental AGUI support to the Homes GPT chat endpoint, so now it can be plugged into OSD. You can run this demo yourself. I wasn't sure how to switch the screen over, but I'm running the OpenTelemetry demo. I did a fork and I added Homes GPT AGUI experimental server there, and so it's connected to OpenSearch Dashboards. Let me just try and see if I can switch displays. I don't think it's showing on the display up there. Yeah, it's a Mac. It's on a different desktop.
Do that, and then you can change it to mirror. Oh yeah, you're mirroring. Yeah. So.
Start mirroring.
And then you can switch.
Right on. Okay, yeah, I'm running the OpenTelemetry app. Probably doesn't need an intro at this point, but it's basically just a telescope chopping app that gives you a realistic view of a distributed system, so you can have like some real-looking telemetry, traces, logs, metrics. And there's also a flag configure that you can use to inject some faults. I think I said adds high CPU, something else, cart failure. So there'll be some metrics that are off a bit. But this is OpenSearch Dashboards in Discover Logs. Looks big enough for folks to see. So we have this query. Let me just refresh, make sure there's data. Oh, did I lose my back end? The demo gods can't even do a basic query right now, let alone AI. Let me just restart. Let me see. Something going wrong? Oh, of course, the red text. So probably like that socket timeout. I don't even need internet. Okay, we'll try one restart of the server of the back end, and oh, looks like I got logs. I think we're gonna have to just give me a quick sec. Okay, yeah, looks like there's a connection error happening. Did I lose internet or something? Hope not. Okay, well, I was prepared for this because it happens. I have just a demo video of it working here. I promise you I took it just a few minutes ago. So we're in that logs UI. I say hi. Holmes is there. Hi, I'm your AI assistant for observability, and I'm just saying explain my query. So this is where AGUI is helping here. It already has the query context, and it'll actually include the first 5 log entries as well, just because we found that usually the user is going to start asking about this. And so how can I filter for errors? And it is kind of like conversational here, right? One thing that we don't include right now in the context is actually all those fields, because it exposed the context windows for some types of log schema. So right now it's saying the field level not found. It's assuming that I have some field named level, when actually, let me just scroll ahead a little bit. I found that we have a body attribute that just kind of has the whole message in it. So I say there is a body attribute. I give it that information, and then you can see it's executing that tool, execute PPL query. That's actually the front end tool modifying that query and executing it, which can be a bit jarring at first. So obviously we want to add in some user confirmations, like, do you want me to execute this query? Do you want to trust me for this session to execute queries and whatnot? Here's the other one. And so kind of like just not really in the UI here, can expand it out. I'm going to do an investigation. I actually didn't know about, I didn't know details about the front-end proxy of the OpenTelemetry demo, so I asked explore the front-end proxy metrics. And so you can see this is HolmesGPT. It looks just like that, CLI output there. It shows the investigation is ongoing. It's telling you that it's looking for metric labels and values. It's executing queries. It tried Nginx request total, didn't find any data, so it's going to look elsewhere. And it kind of gives you like the checklist of what investigations are currently ongoing, what's completed. Hasn't given us Prometheus graph yet. But, there we go. Oh, little lost data. There we go. All right, yeah, so it gives us like front-end proxy request rate by status code over time, and it tells you the query at the top. You can see, yeah, so sum by status, rate, app front-end request total. So you could take that and put it into, Prometheus front-end if you want to just sanity check. But yeah, sure enough, it is the data. And then the reason I'm running an experimental server, shouldn't have done that, is because right now we're working on an add to dashboard function. So, I'm not going to say it negates the need for like an explore option, but now like you know what it takes to investigate the front end. Why don't you just take those and put them onto your dashboard? And now that's one of your observability dashboards. This hopefully should be a view let me just scroll forward a bit because I go and make a dashboard. There we go. Okay, 5 minutes. Yeah, this is the end of the demo. Yeah, so now we can start adding in to the dashboard right from that Agentic Explorer. Okay, so what do we unlock here? We got our agentic-led investigations, or at least humble beginnings of it, for discover logs and traces. And we have pluggable, interchangeable agents without requiring network access to data sources using AGUI. What's missing? I'd like to get your feedback on that, because there's a lot of obvious things missing. We have the trust factor of not prompting before the user to be able to execute those queries. That's a really big one. We have, a number of agents that we're actually going to be shipping with the production version. So getting those out there and having a managed offering for that. But I want to get some questions, comments, and feedback from you all of what you think about this. It's obviously in an experimental mode right now, but it's the direction that we're kind of heading with OpenSearch Dashboards.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions?
Hi, thank you for the presentation. Yeah, more than a question is like a feedback, because something that maybe is missing now in the demo is the actual capability of the agent to go see the logs from the various sources and actually help us troubleshooting what's happening, because maybe we receive the alert saying, oh, your system is down, nothing is working. And you go and say, hi, can you help me understand? And he's gonna check all the data sources and try to troubleshoot and help us understand where to look into. Or maybe suggesting us how to fix it, since he can have the whole context of the architecture.
Yeah, no, that's a great comment. So it's really like the capability of your agent at this point. So the agent that I configured in that demo, it's really only connected to Prometheus. But if I were to extend it, I would add MCP servers for OpenSearch as well as Prometheus, and let the agent be able to use that tooling as well. And we would have that capability. Yeah.
Great, thanks. I have one question. I had something similar in mind, trying out internally, but my vision was to use Alert Manager Webhook API and do this automatic investigation of alerts from Alert Manager, like sending notifications there.
Yeah.
And then, for example, post this result of the investigation to the Slack. Did you consider something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the full end-to-end workflow. I mean, I wouldn't be brave enough to actually take actions on the agent's investigation results, but there is that option to have hooks on the outside too, and have it run. I think actually HolmesGPT, they're doing this type of work with their Kubernetes operator. I don't know how fully fleshed out it is yet, but they've thought about that as well. Yeah, definitely a very valid use case.
Okay, thanks.
One actually that would be useful is if you hooked it up to, let's just say, your ticketing system. So the operator's already been paged, right? Get up, like, it takes them 5 to 10 minutes to get their laptop. The agent's already been triggered with the alarm. They've already performed some sort of investigation. Even if it's half as good as what the operator could do, it will give some kind of head start to the investigation. Yeah.
Any questions? Nope. You get to pick one of the orange knives.
Oh, great.
And yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, everybody.